Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is a bit of an impromptu video coming from the Armchair Pundits. This wasn't planned, but neither was the sacking of Frank Lampard. Well, at least not to our knowledge. We're joined by the one and only Mitch. How are we tonight, Mitch?
You're right, Mitch.
Mitch, your sound's gone.
I mean, it's not gone. It's never been there.
We were just talking to Mitch a minute ago. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Oh, he's back.
Well, no, I'm good, but I'm unqualified to talk on this subject, but here I am.
Here I am. We couldn't get our resident Chelsea fan because he's busy trying to move out of his place because he can't go out drinking. So, how's Mr. Late Night Show tonight? Welcome to the show.
All good, Gaffer. All good. It's nice to see Mitch on live. Where you been?
Oh, it's brilliant.
Yeah?
Been busy.
Is it good?
So, first of all, I think the obvious question is, what was your reaction to the news earlier? Mitch, let's start with you.
So I was at work and I found out, like everybody else, just on the phone. And for me, it didn't come as a surprise because that's what Roman does. I personally would have kept him a bit longer, but it came as no surprise to me. I wasn't shocked.
Yeah, very similar to me, to be honest. What about you, Lou?
The thing is, right, is of course it's no surprise, but you'd think there'd be some sort of loyalty given to all-time top goal scorer.
Yeah. I can't argue.
But
where's Jack? Sorry, I don't know who that is.
The thing is, though, right?
There's Jack.
Roman Abramovich took over 18 years ago, and this is the model he lives on. And Chelsea have won the most trophies in the past 18 years out of anybody. So it's working. Unfortunately, it's not what you want.
Yeah, it's for the manager.
It's not what you want to see. You want to see projects. You want to see, Alex Ferguson. He created 3 squads in his time there. But at the end of the day, Chelsea, you don't get time. If you don't bring success after season 2 or halfway through season 2, you are out of there.
Yeah, we'll come back to that Jack comment a minute ago. My kind of take on it was I didn't agree with him getting the job in the first place. It's an absolute top job. I think he had one season with Derby prior to going to Chelsea.
Yeah.
Which for me is absolute madness, especially with the kind of job Chelsea are, or any Premier League job in that matter.
He knew what he was getting himself into, mate. Didn't
he? Just a quick question for you, Lewis. If Chelsea hadn't gone and spent this 200 million or however much it was in the summer, and Chelsea were in the position they are in now, would he still be there?
Okay, let's just ask you a question back. Where were they this time last year when they hadn't spent any money?
They were higher in the league.
Exactly. So if he hadn't of, he still would have been sacked.
It's crazy how so many fans say, "Oh, go out, spend money," and by this club spending money, it's in turn potentially got one of their biggest club legends sacked. Mitch, how much do you reckon the signings have had a part to play in this?
In terms of not performing, they've had a lot to play in it. Having said that, you need time to gel. We all said it. We all said it pre-season. Chelsea are not going to be up there this season. They need time to gel. It's okay going out and buying this player, and that player, but you can't expect him to come in and kick it off straight away. So yeah, I'm 2 ways on that. I think that I don't know actually.
Because Leicester did something quite similar. Where they went out, they spent a lot of money, and it took time for the team to gel. Liverpool were the same. Klopp went out, bought loads of players. It takes time. Do you think Lampard? It's a question for Mandy, actually. People wouldn't care if it was just another manager. The fact that it's Frank Lampard, who is a club legend. What's your thoughts on that?
What do you mean? I don't get what he means by people wouldn't care.
That.
Because, I mean, was Slavan Bilic a West Brom legend? And people were saying it was unfair that he got sacked. And I remember when Watford, they got rid of Nigel Pearson. A lot of people were very surprised by that. And they weren't necessarily...
The fact Lampard's been sacked. When he says people wouldn't care, I don't think people necessarily care anyway.
Oh, my God.
What's up, Lo?
What's up?
Yeah.
I just hate StreamYard, mate. That's all.
No, what's your opinion on Andy's comment there? People wouldn't care if it was just another manager, but the fact that it's Lampard, who is a club legend. What's your opinion on that, Lo?
What's my what?
What's your opinion on the fact that Andy said that people wouldn't care if it was just another manager, but the fact that it's Frank Lampard, who's a club legend?
No, I think it, you know, at the end of the day, like I just said, Roman Abramovich, he has his own model, and at the end of the day, yes, it's ruthless, but it's successful. There is no team in the Premier League that have won more trophies in the past 18 years than Chelsea. So at the end of the day, doesn't matter who you are, and this goes to show it, Chelsea's all-time top goal scorer has been sacked after 18 months because of a transfer window where he signed Havertz, Werner, Chilwell, that Zajkic, Mendy, Sarr, Silva. Spent a lot of money. Spent £228 million. It's a lot of money.
Yeah. Comment from Marcus here. Bottom line of any job, it is a result business. I think the fact that, to be honest, they've spent this money and they've declined. I think Lewis pointed on earlier, they've declined.
The thing is, right, Dave, is, do you know me, you, Mitch, take a job as a manager in any kind of workplace, we have to work with the tools we are given. It doesn't matter in this day in football where you go, I want this player, I want that player, I want this. I don't think Frank Lampard had too much of input into the signings that they bought. They just haven't bought any players for 2 years and got a little bit championship manager happy and kind of went, but it doesn't matter. You're given them tools, you work with them tools, and you succeed. That's what I'm told in my job. I'm a manager. I can't turn around and go, no, I want you to buy that customer service advisor from Jaldben. I can't do that, can I? I've got to work with what I'm given.
And it's Thomas Tuchel.
Sorry.
Thomas Tuchel. Is he the
so his favourite, I think it's pretty much set in stone that Tuchel's get it. Like Andy said here, the thing that don't sit right, Tuchel has been in the country for 2 weeks already to take over Wednesday. I don't actually think that he's the right guy for the job because I don't think he did particularly well at Dortmund. He didn't set the world alight.
No,
he got sacked from PSG. PSG and Chelsea, not that dissimilar.
No, right. In 2017, he won the German Cup with Dortmund.
Yeah.
They had just sold all their players to bloody Bayern Munich, as they always do, and they weren't the team they are today, certainly. And he did well out of the tools that he had been given. And then he goes to PSG. He won two legal titles. He's won the French Cup, won the French League Cup. He got them to their first Champions League final ever. So, yes, you can say he didn't do a very good job, but first Champions League final ever, 2 league titles, French Cup, French League Cup. Is that bad?
Well, Klopp. Yeah, I mean, it's not. With PSG, Champions League final, Champions League's always been the holy grail for PSG. Almost similar to what it almost is becoming for Man City. And I think that Tuchel got him that far, especially under the circumstances of last season. It couldn't have been easy.
With PSG.
So the question I ask is, if it is him, which it 99% is,
no, it's
how long?
It's a done deal.
Has it been confirmed?
Deal.
How long do you think? And what is he going to do to change? He's got a lot of players.
Got 12 months.
He's got to, he's got to rejuvenate these players.
He'd have been told.
That's not what Tuchel can do. He's not one of those managers that's going to come in and get the best out of the players. Because if PSG and Dortmund, he's already got the players. He wasn't in control at PSG. You can't tell me he was.
No, I agree.
Just like he won't be in charge of Chelsea, which might make him a perfect fit to be a little bitch boy. And yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Do you know what I mean? And I'll tell you something. It will be it won't hamper his career. He comes into Chelsea, he fails, he still gets paid £6 million, and he's in work and he's at a club that's an established European giant. I said Chelsea were in the top 12 European clubs. Wouldn't you agree? They've won it in the past 10 years. Must be.
Yeah.
So for him, he hasn't got nothing to lose. If he fails, he'll still get a job afterwards, because football management is the only profession that you can fail at and go and get a better job.
We will go into that in a little bit. Quick question from Marcus. Biggest flop, Werner or Havertz? For me, they're both. To be honest, I can't really pick one. Lads, quickly.
How much did they cost between them? £140 million for two players.
Yeah, so Werner was 53. Havertz.
Is it Frank Lampard's fault that £140 million worth of talent failed?
I think you've kind of got to put a little bit of the blame on him.
At the end of the day, although I saw earlier that there's been some bullying behind the scenes going on with youngsters, as in youth team.
Yeah, so this is a comment here. This is Jack, who is actually the admin. He's like the Chelsea admin for the Armchair Pundits. 15 instances of bullying reported to Chelsea HR from the younger English players, accusing Rudiger and Kovacic for bullying them. How true that is, I don't know. It's just what's been reported.
And why not just get rid of the players?
Well,
it's in a transfer window as well.
Let's be honest, Rudiger was basically on his way out anyway. He's only just recently come back into the team.
Point there. What's that got to do with Lampard? That's just an excuse from a Chelsea fan?
Yeah, I think Marcus did a good comment, actually. We've got comments flying in by this, so I'm having to go up and down. Here's a good comment. Di Matteo was a club legend and was axed after they won the Champions League.
Okay, right. We're talking complete different levels of legend here. Come on. Is he for real? But he's very knowledgeable of football, but saying stuff like that makes me think otherwise.
But he was an ex-player, and he was highly thought of at that time. Not as much as Lampard.
I've ever seen. But that statement, you can't compare Di Matteo for Frank Lampard.
Yeah, it'd be a bit like comparing Gerrard with Martin Skirtle, for example. You know, completely both admired by...
Maybe Patrick Berger to Steven Gerrard. That'd be better.
Yeah, both admired, but one is an absolute icon of the team. Comment here, Cavan thought the other day, he did actually say that. I was on the live.
By the way, so, like that member from South Africa, becoming a regular on these videos. Au revoir. Hello.
Au revoir, yes. Something to think about with Frank Lampard. Who else last season would have taken the Chelsea job with the transfer ban?
No, Lampard took it.
That's a fantastic question. I don't know who's put that. Let us know who's put that. Sorry, with StreamYard,
it's really difficult to get your name to come up. You click on a link, you press accept, and it's done. It takes 2 seconds.
But that's a great question. Mitch, what's your opinion on that? I love that question. Do you want me to read it out for you?
Took the job, but the Chelsea job it's the Chelsea job. Let's not underestimate this. I reckon most managers would have took it on the basis that a year later transfer ban's lifted. It gives you like a free hit for the first season because you can turn around and say, "Well, I couldn't sign my players." So
it's almost like settling in.
It is.
I mean, what do you think? What do you think Abramovich would have said to Lampard coming in when Lampard first got the job?
Lampard, I like you, mate. You're a legend, but you know what I'm like. And I've got I'm like Kim Jong-un or bloody Donald Trump. I've got my hand on that button.
But when Lampard first went into Chelsea management, with
They
that
would have said,
first season,
you've trained with the kids, make them play. And that's what he did.
And what he did is he made Reece James, Mason Mount, Gilmore, Tama Abraham, Tomori, Hodgson Hoy. Do you know what I mean? Like, not funny, right? So, yes, spent all this money on all. Well, he didn't. The club did, and they're going, "Oh, fucking out!" Well, excuse me. We've spent 228 million. These players that I've just mentioned. How much do you think they're worth now that they wouldn't have been worth if he hadn't played them for the whole season? Reece James, Mason Mount. Mason Mount was Chelsea captain yesterday. He's only been playing for Chelsea for 18 months.
Yeah, which goes to show. It says a lot. Billy Cox, that was, by the way, did that. So thank you, Billy, for commenting. I'm just going through the comments here. Now that we have the spending power and a few results didn't go away, Lampard has been moved on. I presume now there's Tuchel's come in. Do you expect any new signings from Chelsea?
I think
in this transfer window.
I think you've got
in this window, yeah.
Not in this window. No, in the summer. Not now.
It would be very interesting if Chelsea suddenly come out with this player that's coming in, and then it kind of answers our question: who does make the signings at Chelsea? Clearly not Tuchel. If they're making a signing after a week,
real life footy manager, mate. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
He is.
There we go. So Tuchel shouldn't be considered for a top job. Dortmund, class side, but did all. PSG front three at the time were arguably the best out there. Couldn't win the Champions League, says the measure of a man.
Completely agree. What Tuchel did isn't that impressive because most managers could do that with those squads. Tuchel wasn't in control of those teams. He was just merely there. He was just merely existing there.
He's the puppet, isn't he? He was the puppet. Yeah. And Abramovich likes a puppet. He's not going to like someone like Mourinho that stands up to him. Mourinho did well because he was successful. The second he was...
Is this coming more of a common occurrence in football now? This Abramovich manager.
Get these
but it's wrong.
That don't care.
Oh, it is wrong.
You know, at the end of the day, you know, Leicester nearly signed that player for £999 million, Mitch. They wouldn't spend a bill, but they never. Now, what a list!
Do it.
Little plug. I listened to our podcast earlier, mate. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, we are on podcasts, guys. Check that out. For anybody watching this, by the way, none of us are actually Chelsea fans. We've just seen the news. We've had a bit of a discussion on it. Coming on live. Here's an interesting one from our good friend Marcus. Poch would have taken the job without the ban. Am I right in thinking? Now, I might be wrong in this, but when Chelsea got Frank Lampard, Pochettino had just finished second in the Champions League and was still at Tottenham at that point.
Yeah, I believe so, because Lampard's been there for 18 months now. So I think because if you have to revert back to going to the Mourinho just celebrated a year, didn't he? So and going from Spurs to Chelsea, I don't think that would have worked out, to be fair.
But they're only 11 points behind United. This is what I don't understand. It's only 4 wins.
They're 5 points behind the Champions League places, and they're 11 points behind Man United, but it would be 12 points if Man City had their game in hand.
It's still...
With Abramovich, Champions League football is an absolute must, and if there's any slight indication that Chelsea are not going to get Champions League football, and Champions League football is an absolute minimum requirement for Abramovich.
But after they've not been able to sign anyone for 2 years, for Lampard bringing all that youth through last year and getting Champions League football, he should be rewarded, shouldn't he? Look, you go back a few months. Ollie He's getting sacked. He's getting sacked. They're rubbish. Who's top of the league now?
Well, that's it. And I mean, it wasn't 2 months ago that Jurgen Klopp actually came out and said, you know, Chelsea actually look favourites to win the league. Chelsea were playing extremely well, and they've gone through a blip. Liverpool are going for a blip.
He was putting pressure on Chelsea because they'd spent that much money. That was not him being nice or courteous. That was mind games.
Yeah, it was mind games, but at the same time, Chelsea were top of the league at that point. Here's a big length comment. I'll get through it. Billy Cox again. Cheers, Billy Cox, for your input tonight. Conte won the Prem and FA Cup the season after, got let go. Sorry, won the Europa, let go. Managers don't get the time at Chelsea, and it's a simple fact. We've won a lot of trophies in the last 15 years, and I think it's because of the rotation of manager. Lewis has pointed that out. Conte with the 3-5-2 was unknown in the Prem, and he won the league in his first season. The fact of the Prem is that it's a lot harder to maintain the Premiership or Cups, for that matter, than it is to win them.
Well, that's a good point, but Conte plays that style of football even now at Milan. He's gone into the... And do you know when he did it at Chelsea? He brought Victor Moses into that wing-back role. And he's done the same thing in Milan with Ashley Young. Relatively...
He's doing very well, yeah.
Not the best of players, but will run up and down all day. And that's what you need in that style of football. It's worked for him over there. It worked for him at Chelsea. But at the end of the day, he started off that second season, started not the best, and gone.
We've got a comment from YouTube here from Non-League Away Days. Thanks for commenting. Top of the league last month, sacked today. This is why I hate the Premier League. Give managers more time. Do you think that, and this is interesting, it came under conversation, I can't remember what channel it was on, about managers that have given a certain length of contract have to have done at least 3/4 of it before they can be considered for the sack.
That can't.
What's your thoughts on that? No. It wasn't. No, it wasn't a fact. It was just a discussion point. Someone in the studio discussed this because you look at teams like Forest. They go through bloody 422 managers a year. If you're going to sign a manager for 2 years, at least give him a year and a half, at least.
No, look at it from a business perspective, mate. You can't implement that sort of rule.
Look how much money that Chelsea spent the last Boas going from again, right? And do you know what? You made this point about Poch, and this was Spurs to Chelsea. But look how much money David Livy bleeded. He cost like nearly £40 million, didn't he? And he sacked after 26 games. 6 games might not be gospel, but it was around that mark. And they spent £40 million on him. Can you imagine what his contract was as well? That's an expensive mistake to make.
It is. They must fork out an absolute fortune on managers. I mean, it's crazy. I do think managers need to be given more time. I think, you know, we've seen some casualties recently. Slavan Bilic, I thought, was very hard done by. I thought Nigel Pearson with Watford last season was absolute criminal. I thought he was doing a great job for him.
In a job for 10 games?
Who was that, sorry?
Nigel Pearson. I think he came in. I think he won 3, drew 2, first 5, then lost 5. Right.
Yeah, they're rock bottom of the league when he took over. When he left there, I think there were 2 places out of relegation. And
then look what happened to them.
Well, yeah, Championship. I don't know. I don't think they're doing brilliantly in the Championship.
They've hit the panic button. Poof. Just get Sam Allardyce. They'll still get relegated.
Oh yeah. There we go. Just imagine if Chelsea fans were in the ground for the next game, the place would be so hostile towards Roman and the players.
Do you think?
I think they would be, but they were with Mourinho and they got over it after a game.
The thing is, right, is if boy wins his first 3 games in a row 4-0, they'll forget about Frank Lampard as their manager. Yeah. They will never forget about Frank Lampard as their blue, as their...
We've got a Leeds fan here, Lou. Obviously, Lewis is our resident Leeds fan. I'm a Leeds fan. Want to know what you think of our season so far. People say we're terrible, concede goals. Oh, why did I do this one? Full strength defence all season. If you go on to any of Lewis's shows, he's done about 400 of them so far. Every single video of his would answer that question for you.
Let's not talk about Mitch.
Can't score.
Mitch still thinks that we're getting relegated.
Right, no, this ain't the one. This ain't the one.
You can't score. You're conceding too many goals. Leeds are going down.
That is not true, and I will prove that tomorrow night. And let's plug this. Tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, Leo William Barnard and his father, this guy, go watch along live tomorrow night on the Armchair Pundit, 6 o'clock. Give us a watch, give us a like, give us a share. It's going to be gold. But just to answer this guy's question, because he's made an effort to watch our show tonight. He's made an effort. If you're watching somebody, please give the Armchair Pundit a like and a share. Tell your mates, tell your grandma, tell whoever you want. It's fine. But the answer to your question is, I am not concerned. Leeds United this season, we have played 18 games. We have 23 points. Yes, we're on -4, but we are the entertainers of the Premier League. 18 games in the Premier League. Our games have had 64 goals. Yes, 34 of those goals have been against us. We have scored 30 goals. And for a new promoted side, I don't care what anyone says to me, without a defence, we have a right back playing centre back. We have our left winger playing left defence. We have our right winger playing right defence. We've had no centre back all season. Our goalkeeper is 20. We've got Patrick Bamford up top. He's had 68 shots on goal. He's only scored 12. And that's not on goal. That's on target. 68 shots on target. He scored 12 bloody goals.
Right. Cheers for that, Lou. So Lou doesn't think you're getting relegated, but we're going to move on to Frank Lampard. What was that, Lou? Mitch, sorry.
Lewis is chatting shit. Bamford has not had 68 shots on target. No chance.
Sports News right now.
No, it is. No, it's on Sky Sports News. Anyway, just going back, there has been a blatant players going direct to the board because Lampard wasn't playing them. I seriously think they've played bad on purpose. I completely disagree with that, Jack, and I'll explain why I disagree with that. How can they be deliberately playing bad if they're not playing?
No, when they do play, because Frank Lampard does not know his starting 11 at all.
Mm-hmm.
Been doing a lot of squad rotation, and when they play, they're thinking this guy isn't having me because he's not playing me every game. So do you know what? My heart's not in it.
But they said the same about Conte. They said the same about Mourinho, and about 3 different teams. I don't think every single team is doing the same thing.
By instant success.
It's like, we'll go to Mitch. You had Claude Puel, didn't you? Would you say the players were deliberately playing bad, or do you think he lost his job because he's not that great of a manager?
He just didn't fit our style of play, and he actually did some amazing things for us with the players that he brought in, the style that he got us to play, but he just wasn't the man to take us forward. He was the man to change us from that side that did concede a lot of goals, the side that would counter-attack him. And at the time, possession-based didn't quite suit us, but he was the man to implement it. And now that we've got Rodgers in, and it works perfectly with the players that we've
absolutely great.
And it was Claude Puel that introduced that to Leicester. So I personally, I'm glad that we had him.
Every manager we've had has been pushed up by players, and it's clear all is day. You know what? Like I said, I'm not a Chelsea fan. I've not done that close of. I've not looked that close. $1 million question, lads, and this is the $1 million question. What is next for Frank Lampard, Lewis?
I think he needs to go away and almost find himself again. I don't think he should rush into a decision job. I think he should take his time. I do believe, even though, I loved him as a player, I think he's a moaning little bitch as a manager. And I think he needs to find himself again. Possibly go abroad, not America. Mm-hmm. Maybe go and find himself again abroad board, or actually go and do something. And do you know what? Sorry to say it, but if these new people in at Derby, go in there again, because he would do. Well, I know Wayne's in there now. I know Wayne's trying to do his own little Wayne's World thing. Possibly even go and do, John Barnes and McAteer, do it together. I don't know. I just think maybe a Newcastle could suit him.
I was going to say Newcastle. Here's another one. Jack, you're completely ruining my next question. Thanks for that. Break till next season, then maybe Celtic next season. Lampard will end up on Celtic watch. Mitch, question: what's next for Frank Lampard?
He should do a Gary Neville, give up management, and go into punditry.
Wow, that's an interesting shout.
That's not happening. He's
Do you think Gary Neville would quit after Valencia?
I think we are destined, and it is written in the stars, for a Gerrard and Lampard title race one season.
No, it's not.
May not be for the next 10 years. Or they're going to be battling each other for relegation at some point.
No, because of that. And because Klopp won't go this summer, he'll go next summer. So Gerrard's going to go and take over from Klopp. You know that.
Klopp's got affiliations at City.
I actually think, right, that Jack...
I'd love to see the odds on that.
Could you imagine, for the TV, Celtic, and how Rangers are going to break that mould of the Celtic? Yeah. Celtic have won the league 9 years in a row. Do you know what I mean? And then go and do Lampard, Gerrard. They play each other about 6 times a year as well, don't they, out there?
Oh, it'd be brilliant. I mean, I think, especially if they met in like a cup final, that's probably one of the highest.
Mount is going on loan to Celtic.
It is really not happening.
If I name a couple of clubs, let me know what you think. So the obvious one being Derby. Can you see him back at Derby?
Depends how Rooney does. Depends how the takeover happens. Do you know what I mean? Rooney's got a big affiliation with that club now, because obviously that Red 32, they paid a lot of money, didn't they? So to make him number 32, stuff like that. So you'd have to see in that one.
I know, just to I thought Eddie was meant to be going Celtic.
Yes, but this might put a spanner in the works now. Do you imagine? Because again, it's all about money, and it would attract so many more people if it was Lampard v Gerrard, considering throughout their whole careers they could never play together. And now they're going to two of the best fielders that we've seen in our lifetime.
Oh, you know what?
You're right, Dave.
Jesus.
I've got to go. I'm getting a call, so thanks for having me on, but I'm off.
No,
you.
What an idiot.
All right, okay. Hey, it's cool. Right, you know what? Move on. So could you imagine in Spain, and everyone call me an idiot because this is a very idiotic thing to say, and I don't mean anything serious by it, so just take it with a pinch of salt. You imagine one day in Spain, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, all managed Gerrard Lampard Scholes.
Okay.
How cool would that be?
Scholes couldn't even manage Oldham, so that's not a question. Scholes has done a Gary Neville and gone, right, I'm going to be a pundit now. I ain't going to go into management again.
Do you think Lampard knew he was going to be sacked?
Do you know why I can tell you now he did? Because if he didn't, do you know why that's taken over?
Mm-hmm.
Would have had to have quarantined for 2 weeks. If he's going to be sat in that dugout on Wednesday, he's been in this country for 2 weeks. And Lampard would be able to sue because you're not allowed to tap up another manager whilst you've still got a manager.
That is an absolute great point. Another team that I was, you've mentioned Newcastle. I could see Newcastle. I think his next job will either be Championship. I potentially Nottingham Forest. The potential's there. But I think wherever his next job is the most important job of his career, managerial-wise, because if things don't go to plan, especially if it's a Championship side or even in Scotland, no Premier League is going to hire this man when he's got Forest relegated or he's decline Celtic even further?
I think your biggest example of taking your time on a job and going to, find your own, because yes, you could be a top football player and you can play best managers in the world, and yes, you can see different traits, but you've still got your own personality, you've still got your own ways, and as sometimes you can force yourself to do something, but at the end of the day, your own personality will come out eventually. It's like meeting a bird. You're all nicey nice at the beginning, but when she starts pissing off 3 months, you're going to tell her. Do you know what I mean? So those sort of things will come out. And I think Gerrard has done an unbelievable job up there. And Steven Gerrard is going to... I know it's at Celtic. I know it's Scottish football. At Rangers. I know it's Scottish football. But he's not just gone up there and broken the 9-year mould. He's not just gone up there and scraped it. He has wiped the floor with everything. And I tell you what says something else. He's not just doing it in that league. He is going and he's beating Benfica. And he is going abroad and he is smashing it up in the Europa League. And I'd love to see a Leicester City Rangers final. How good would that be?
You've just planted something into my head. I think it'd be fantastic. Just going back and saying, we spoke. I can't remember if it was yesterday. I think it was Saturday. We spoke about young English players going abroad, particularly Dortmund. What about young English managers going abroad? Is it a different thing, or is it a similar thing?
Exactly what I said in the group earlier. I think maybe not only are these English players, Sancho's your biggest example, actually not getting a chance because of the foreign influx of players into our league, and then finding their feet abroad and coming back for a massive fee. Maybe English managers might start thinking with the same mentality. Well, I'm not getting a chance here. I'm not getting that chance there. Maybe go abroad, find your trade, find your own model and platforms, just like English football players are having. I think the English managers are actually going to start doing the same thing because it seems to be being successful for players. And I think the guy that's in charge of Brighton right now, he did the same thing. No one had heard about him in England, and now he's got a Premier League job, mate.
Yeah, I agree. Just quickly on this one, what team has a lot of young signed players, good youth system? What about the Villa job, having JT as coach? The only problem with that, Andy, is that Aston Villa have already got a manager that's doing really well.
He has. At the end of the day, do you want because he might shag your wife?
Yes, that is another thing as well. So totally agree. It's been brilliant at Rangers. Yeah, I think we're going to finish up now. Thanks everyone for watching. Thank you, Lewis, for some absolute great insight. Just to clarify, none of us are actually Chelsea fans. The three that have come on, we've got a Liverpool fan, we've got a Leicester fan, we've got a Leeds fan. Pardon?
We've got good knowledge. We're football fans. We make good points.
Yeah, we are football fans.
We have enough people. We have enough people on here telling us that we don't know what we're talking about. We're very biased. So that's why I thought it'd be a good idea to get a Liverpool fan and a Leeds fan and a Leicester fan on here. And people are still commenting, Dave. I don't think we should have been done right now, but it's your choice. If you want to go, that's fine.
There's no respect to Lampard. People saying he did well in the Championship. He got to play a final and lost with most Chelsea youth. Never got promoted, but I think he would do well at Celtic. So yeah, thank you so much for everyone who's commented. Really massively appreciate it. Tomorrow, Lewis has plugged it. Do you want to have another quick plug for tomorrow?
Yeah.
Big game tomorrow.
Myself and Leo, William, Bremner, Barnard. We go watch along lines on Leeds United versus Newcastle. Expect fireworks. Expect banter. Expect me kicking off when Leeds kick the ball. They can't. Imagine if Leeds can't kick the ball 5 yards. I'm kicking off. Leo's going to laugh at me. Leo's going to beg me to say a swear word, which is not allowed. But it's always good TV having a watch along live with myself. But thanks for coming. Dave nearly buggered off, but up the Leeds, marching on together. We're all Leeds, aren't we? Oh! I'll see you tomorrow, boys and girls.
Also, Wednesday night, different nights. Obviously, Lewis has stole my spot tomorrow night. Wednesday night, Gaffer's Gaff, and me and Lewis are going to be talking about the starting 11, so all individual players that made us fall in love with football. And I'm really hoping that people in the comments are going to send us their starting 11, the 11 players that made them fall in love with football. Thursday night, we've got to talk to the tap as well.
One person made me fall in love with football, and that was Alan Smith, and I hate him now, so I don't know if I can pick him.
Everyone, there's going to be a lot of Italian players in mine. I bet you already know that. Anyway, from the Gaffer, from Mr. Late Night Show, and from the Armchair Pundits, #tap. Thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting, and good night.
All the best. Shabba.